it for I. When I'm alone, Jah be my help all day and night. When I'm way down in this desert, I say a prayer. Oh yes, it answer. I hail Jah Rastafari and he shake it not and I beckon to I. Yeah, I'm alone in the wilderness. Jah, I'm alone with Jah Almighty. I'm alone in the wilderness. Only Jah would hear my plea. Send up not your prayers to anyone. And when you're gonna read a psalm of prayer, just read it sincerely from your heart. The wicked must fall, yeah, when they hear this sound. Even to the great poor Paul, what and all, they've got to bow down and not defeat. Yeah, I'm alone in the wilderness. I'm alone with joy. I'm alone in the wilderness. I prepare to take my medicine. Wow. And for I way down in these trees. For even when my mother had and my father forsake me, he said, come on, son, come on, I'll take the arm. And that is why every now.
And good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Pity Martinique. Once again, it is time for Talking Points. My name's Sheldon Scott. I'll be here with you up until the 10 o'clock hour. It's now 6 minutes after the hour of 8 on the Spice Isle of Grenada, saying good night to all the listeners locally, regionally, internationally, even outer nationally, saying a very special good night to each and every one of you. You know how this with strong music now that I come on, yeah.
40 years we go.
Good night to all of you joining us on the YouTube.
It's a celebration. It's a celebration. We love it. If you tell looking real bright.
Ayla and Asia Scott, good night to both of you. Jeremy Scott, good night to you, bro.
Anniversary, anniversary.
Jackie Raymond, good night. Red Gull Pascal, good life. Christine Otley, Magdalene Henry, Oswald Belfon, Gianna Marine, Jocelyn Matheson.
Not tearing hope for a brighter future.
Let me say a good night to you, Auntie Doreen. I know you're listening.
National party.
I've got to give you a call, yeah?
It's a celebration.
Deborah Laborde, good night to you. Rodney Barry, Rosalind Jones, Sky Osbert James,
It's a celebration.
Alan and Michelle Jones and Zoe, good night to you all.
We're the best part.
My little Zayla, good night to you.
Anniversary. Happy anniversary, NNP.
Zelia,
Happy anniversary.
good night to you.
40 years and going strong.
Elwin Nore, Yolan Pariag, Sherma Alexander,
Coordination future.
Hermian Callis, Anna Andrews, Carib Spice, Fitness, Eliza Bernard, Shirley Noel, Gloria Francois, Mayana Julian.
It's a celebration. It's a celebration. We love it. If you tell looking real bright.
Alban, good night to you, bro.
Right.
Claude Abraham, Gillian Noel, Agnes Henry, Vanessa Lalji,
Love it. There's no celebration.
Teresa Joseph, yeah, good night to you as well.
Happy anniversary.
Listra Abraham, Deva Seals, Denny Sandy,
Anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Errol Bonaparte, Ashma Charles,
Getting stronger.
Phyllis Mitchell, Kathleen Ledlow, good night to you as well. Hope you're having a wonderful one.
Celebration. We love
Anne Marie Grant, Francis George, good night, bro.
it. Just right. Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. And
Sherma Jeremiah, Faithlin Hallie Douglas, Janice Mitchell, Miriam Samuel, Deborah Laborde,
excellence.
Luna Lolo, good night to you.
Progress and vision.
Faithlin Hallie Douglas. My good friend Mr. Perryman, I know you're listening, man. Jacinta Livingston, Gemma Warwood, I see you, and Maud Martin, Matthew Bowen. Matthew, what's up with you, man?
Tell looking real bright.
Velma Pascal, John Stafford.
It's a celebration. It's a celebration.
Yeah, so all of you on the YouTube, we say a special good night to you. All of you on the Facebook, Veronica, I see Vintris, McLean, Betty, Norma, Dexter Charles, Sherry Ann, Gillian Prescott, Ingrid Bourne, Charmaine Ragbasing, Carla Walcott, Nurse Wendy Ann Maguire,
Greatness. Development and progress. Yeah.
Esther Peters, Lynn Joseph,
It's a celebration.
Crystal Theodore, good night to you, my dear. Auntie Chrissy,
Moving on just right.
Cynthia Bay, Kamita, good night to you.
It's a celebration. We love it.
Merrill George, Connie Tompkin,
We're the best party and we know it. Happy and
John Adams, Alistair Andrews, Winnie Simon, Sherry Lambert, Peter Stryker Lewis, John Mark, Dr. Love,
anniversary.
Yvonne Courtney, good night to you. Where's Merrill? Where's Merrill? And I see Yvonne looking for Merrill. Kathy Pope, good night to you as well. Yeah, saying good night to everybody tonight, yeah?
Sorry and 40 years.
Susan Steele, Cicely Celestine, Abraham Pope, good night to you. Alston Pope,
In hope for a brighter
Tegwa, Jill Williams, Evelyn Narayan, Nelsia Charles, Sherms Houston, Marilyn Ferguson, good night. Teresa Buddy Frederick, good night to all of you.
future looking real bright and we moving on just right. It's a celebration. It's a celebration. We love it. There's no segregation. We're the best party and we know it. Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary.
And folks, as you see advertised tonight, we will be having a guest on with us.
And 40 years.
A Senator, the Honorable Dwight Horsford, will be joining us live on Talking Points tonight, yeah?
The greatness.
It's going to be his first time on the Talking Points program.
Development and progress. Yeah.
Good night to you, Shemi Joseph.
It's a celebration.
Good night to you, Keda Joseph, before I get a big stone all the way from America.
Looking real bright and we
Our listeners out there in Texas, you know, my Texas listeners are special, they're special to me. Yeah? I don't know how they does find me when they're on the island. They does make sure and they find me just to say, listen, I'm in Texas. I've met guys who drive the big rigs, those big trucks, be from state to state and county to county and so on, yeah. And they say they're listening to Talking Points while they're on the road, and they have other guys driving the trucks that listening to Talking Points too. So sometimes when they hear something back and forth between each other, yeah, what you say, yeah, what going on home, that sort of thing. So I say a special good night to the Texas listeners, the Carolina listeners, those of you out there in North Carolina, special good night to you. Miami, good night. And of course, New York City. And for those of you in New York City, don't forget, let me play that one for you, man. Don't forget, yeah, those are you in New York.
The New National Party New York chapter presents to Grenadians living in this part of the diaspora the biggest town hall meeting ever in New York. You are invited to attend as the headliners in Grenadian politics brings you the message from Grenada. From St. Andrew Northeast, come and hear youthful and vibrant Kate Lewis.
This new national party offers insurance and security of continuity.
St. Andrew Southeast will send you a message through Sister Emlyn Pear.
Brothers and sisters, nothing will stop this party.
Peter David will speak to you with the voice of the town of St. George.
Because if you do not have a vision, you will perish.
The people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique will lay out their struggles through the voice of the powerful Norland Cox.
Brothers and sisters, we are very grateful for the support of the National Party.
Dwight Horsford will address and answer all the legal issues.
In these times, we are seeing a lot of strange things.
Political leader of the new National Party, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, will address you as the party gears up for its 40th anniversary celebration.
And look at the numbers of you here. Look at you here, sisters and brothers. You know why you are here? Because you believe in the new National Party and you believe in the development of this beautiful country of ours.
So, Grenadians, gather on Sunday, the 27th of October at the Nazareth Regional High School, 475 E 57th Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11203, between Clarendon Road and Ditmas Avenue. The meeting starts at 5 p.m. See you as we gather to rescue Grenada 2.0.
Yes, indeed, folks. Eh?
We going strong and getting strong.
So we're looking forward to that one. Eh? Nice.
It's a celebration, we love it. If you tell looking real bright, and we moving on just right. Happy anniversary, NNP. Happy anniversary, NNP. 40 years of resilience.
Also remember the St. George Southeast Constituency branch. They're having their zonal meeting.
Ready? Let's go!
Grenada. Get ready as the new National Party invites all to its 40th anniversary fundraising bingo event. Sunday, October 27th from 5 p.m. at Victoria Park, Grenville. Over $100,000 in cash and prizes to be won. Imagine you can win a Suzuki Ignis hybrid car, $50,000 in cash, plus other fantastic prizes. Tickets are $60 for one or $100 for two. Free buses will be available island-wide. Don't miss it, or you might just see your neighbor driving a Suzuki Ignis. Sunday, October 27th, we're heading to Victoria Park in Grenville for the new National Party 40th Anniversary Fundraising Bingo.
Yes, indeed, folks. So the fundraising bingo, remember you can call 440-1875 or 440-1876 anytime after the hour of 9 and before 4 o'clock. And you would be able to find out what bus is. And do that early. Remember, Friday is a holiday. So you're not going to find anybody there on Friday. You're not going to find anyone on that number on Saturday. You know, some people like to wait last minute. So I'm just letting you all know early. You will not find anybody at the office on Friday. You won't find anybody there on Saturday. And you definitely wouldn't find them on Sunday. So call early. Get your information in relation to the activity, where the bus is picking up and so on, so that you can be part of the massive bingo that's going to be taking place on Sunday. And as I was mentioning, the St. George Southeast Constituency branch, they've got their zonal meeting that's taking place this Thursday. That's starting at 6:30 p.m. at the Monjaloo RC School. Various speakers up to bat: Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, Mr. Oliver Joseph, former parliamentary representative, Mr. Gregory Bowen, and many others. So looking forward to seeing you all at that one. That's going to be taking place this Thursday at the Monjaloo RC School from 6:30 p.m. And I supposed to have a number somewhere, just in case. Where I put that number? I have a number somewhere here that you can call in case you need transportation to Thursday's meeting. There is a number you can call. Where did I put it? Come on, where? Yeah. The number is 423-0706. That's 423-0706. So you can call that number. For those of you for the St. George Southeast Constituency meeting on Thursday, you can call that number 423-0706. So you can call that number and you'll get your, they will organize you with your transportation to that meeting. All right, folks? And I know a lot of folks here, all you expect me to talk about a thing that I'm not talking much about that. I know why. Yeah? I'm not talking much about that one tonight yet. Right? Yeah, I know I'm going to talk about it, Yeah, I'm going to talk about it. Yeah, I know when. Right? Why is this thing doing this to me now? Yeah, oh boy, where is it? Where is it? Yeah, I'm trying to find, there it is. Nice. Yeah. So I'm going to make contact in a short while with Senator Dwight Horsford We're going to have a discussion tonight and so on. Yes, folks, I know a lot of you are wondering. I did listen to the Prime Minister for the nearly 2 hours that he spoke this morning. And there are several things that I will be speaking about in relation to, not tonight, tomorrow night. Yeah, we have a lot that was said there that is disingenuous, untrue, and there's a lot of stuff that was said there that was said in a way. He's using legalese. He's speaking in a kind of way to give you the impression. For instance, when the Prime Minister says that seed payments, that they've made additional payments on the seed payments, what he does not tell you is that that additional money came from UNESCO. That didn't come from the government of Grenada decide that, hey, we so love the people and we're going to give them a little extra money on their seed payments. No, that seed payment came from different agencies. I think it's UNESCO and there were 1 or 2 other agencies that gave money to the government to give to the seed recipients. That was not the government of Grenada dipping into the treasury and saying that we're going to give the seed people a one-off payment. No. I think it's about 175, I think was the US, and there's 300 and something additional. That was the money that was given by UNESCO, one of the agencies. And so I'll give you the clear thing on it. But there were several things that were said there that need to be responded to. We will respond to it, just not tonight. Yeah, I'll mention 1 or 2 things in relation to it, just not tonight. And the arrogance, is the arrogance. When you could make a statement like you're the one to advertise Grenada. So what about Kirani James? I am sure if I go to Australia that they know the name Kirani James. I'm sure that if I leave Grenada and I go to South Africa, they know the name Kirani James. They know the name Anderson Peters. They know these names. Yeah? If I go to any part of the US or I go to Canada and you're speaking to people involved in sports, the likelihood of them knowing the name Deacon Mitchell is very low. The likelihood of them knowing the name Kirani James or knowing the name Anderson Peters is extremely high. Even Affy Fletcher among cricket playing countries and so on. So you hear these names and you know that these are the names of the people that really have Grenada out there, not the Prime Minister. And when he come talking about, as I say, we're not going to go deep into it tonight. I'm going to deal with it properly tomorrow night. But so you know to tune in early tomorrow night because I'm going to be playing clips and I'm going to be saying things. And when he makes statement about the traveling and it's important for him to travel because he's the chairman of Carriacou. Folks, the Prime Minister has only been the chairman of Carriacou from sometime, the end of July, August, somewhere there. And he's been traveling a lot since before that. Now again, when the new National Party travel and they come back, they have a press conference. Okay, we've secured $10 million for this, $40 million for that, $15 million for this. There's a small project for young people here, 500,000 US, whatever it is. When this government travels, you don't know when they're gone. You only hear sometimes when they come back, and they never report to you, the Grenadian people, on anything. And then to try and give the impression, I'm seeing a letter circulating now by the Grenada Union of Teachers where they're speaking to their membership, telling them straight, do not sign that correspondence that was sent out to teachers yesterday and to the union. So I see they're circulating a letter now where they basically have said to them, do not sign. What are you signing that for? Good night to you, Pastor Lewis. I hope you're having a wonderful night. Yeah? So they're saying to their membership, don't sign that. Are you crazy? Don't sign it. And I agree with I don't always agree with the Grenada Union of Teachers, but I agree with the Grenada Union of Teachers on that. You can't sign something that's taken away one of your constitutional rights. It's madness, absolute craziness, yeah? And folks, yeah, let me take this call. Because I think I know who's calling. Hello, good night.
Good night, Mr. Sheldon Scott.
Good night to you, Camille Teresa Scott.
I know you are in a guest on.
No. As see as you that calling, I say I'm taking the call.
And the sleep between me. And
Oh,
I want
God.
to say good night to all the Grenadian people home and abroad. And let me tell everybody, I'm not well. I was in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And my stomach, I eat a bad food from somebody. And he give me a bug.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Anyhow, I lie down. I cannot move as I should. you know. But are they listening? Patricia, good night. To you and Matthew, good night. Mr. Watts, I don't well at all, boy. I lie down. I can't eat, not no going down, not no thing. But I drink a cup of porridge tonight.
This one stay down?
Eh?
It stay down this time? Okay, good. You get the coconut water though?
I don't get the coconut water. Tomorrow I'll go send and see if I get some fruit.
Okay.
But I make a cup. A good friend of mine, you know, a police officer call and he come up and I send him back and get a cream of wheat.
You did tell me you would do that.
My son make a cup of porridge and I eat all. I feel good. So I lie down. And tomorrow, please, I will try to drink a little Carriacou soup.
Yeah, the build the blood.
Just allow me, please, Sheldon,
no, go ahead.
to say good night to the nurses and the doctors and the female medical ward. They was good to me, eh? They couldn't mess with Miss Cammy. They was good to me. Yeah, some who pass and saying all kind of thing, but they was good to me. I want to say good night to them because I know they working hard, really hard. They taking care of patients and they did take good care of me. I get number 1 treatment on that ward. And I'll tell you, they would not mess with me because when Deacon Mitchell name come up, I'll tell them what to tell them. Anyhow, good night to everybody. I'm alive. Good night, Sheldon Scott. I lie down.
And I know a lot of people are glad that they're hearing from you because especially when they go to town and they don't see you, which is
so
why,
they're opening there. I don't go in there arresting. I go carve this clothes. If pass and you see me there, it's only if I come down to text me pressure, I go open there and sit down and I'll get me medication and I'll come back home. But for now, I am not opening it to sell because I'm not well.
Okay.
Have a good night to everybody.
All right, Gabby.
Good night. Patty, good night, darling. And good night to Mr. Dr. Mitchell. Hey, I forget. Dr. Mitchell, good night.
Well, Patty and Matthew go deal with you too, eh?
Doc, good night. Patty, I tell Patty I understand. Doc, good night and good night to Mr. Peter David. Hey. All right, darling.
All right, Gabby.
Everybody.
We're so glad to hear from you.
I know so strong. Bye-bye.
Yes, but we're glad to hear from you. Believe me, we're very, very glad to hear from you.
You and Dana Horsford, you and Smith come quite here and look for me, but I didn't in the hospital.
Oh, boy. Well, you know Yolan already. You know these people and them. They're going to make sure they come.
I did in the hospital. And all the people that look out for me, thanks very much. People, be good to people. Be good. Everybody good. Be good to people.
Yes, indeed.
Bye-bye.
All right, Gabby. We will be speaking again later.
All right. Listening,
all right, my dear. You have a good one.
Carriacou and everybody. Bye. A call coming in. Bye.
Okay, my dear. All right. And I have to give you a call after the program. We have something we have to talk about there. I see a certain person message. Boss, I get your message. All right. Yes, indeed. And folks, so Cammy has been, she had some food poisoning apparently, and she was admitted to the general hospital. So she is out now. She says food still in staying down. So I was glad to hear that at least she got something to stay down this evening. So I'm glad for that. Yeah. So I am getting the guest is online already. Let me just test the audio with the guest and make sure everything working okay. Let me hear you talk there, brother.
Right here.
Man, you sound crisp like a new note there, man. My brother, but Lodge, we don't have to wait for the next 4 minutes. I could bring you on now, man. We starting the thing, you have a lot to talk about. So, folks, I have just brought on with me Senator the Honorable Dwight Horsford. Dwight, you have a middle name, man?
David, actually.
Well, I know another person had that name, but I ain't going to say much. I would just say it's a good middle name to have. So how are things going with you, man? How are things going?
Well, I want to say good night to you and your listenership, and everybody in the diaspora as well. I'm fine for the time. Thanks. Going very good. Things are great.
Nice, bad. How is the legal practice going? Because I know that you're back, and you have taken up a practice locally. You've spent some years outside, but in fact, before we get to that, there are a lot of people that are listening tonight. This might be the first time that they're actually getting to interact directly with you.
Right.
Who is Dwight Horsford?
Well, I like to say that I'm just a simple fellow, born and raised in the coconut in Montparnasse, St. George. And for our listeners, very, very committed for the development of the country. And I'm very committed to the new National Party. I've been in the party, I think something like 20 years now, Sheldon. 20 years in the vineyard of this party.
Yes, a lot of years and a lot of work in those years.
Oh boy, we've seen it all, haven't we?
Yes. Through Ivan, and in fact, for those who may not know, Senator Horsford was part of the New National Party team during the last time we were in opposition. You were part of the team in the Senate at that point in time, and I know you handled yourself exceptionally well during that period.
2008 to 2013.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's the year of Ivan that I came into the party officially, 2004. But, I do remember very well the very hot debates we had in the Senate in 2008 to 2013. Those were very interesting times.
And that's the time, it was, first it was yourself, Mr. Kennedy Roberts, and Senator Roche.
That's right.
And then the team changed to yourself, Mr. Anthony Boson, and Gregory Boyne.
That is correct.
Yeah, and that was a team.
That was a powerhouse team, man.
Yeah, man. You're talking serious business there. And in fact, I've been going back over the last couple weeks, as you may know. I've been going back and checking some of the stuff that the NNP did over the years. And I've come across some of that. So I'll share it with you. From during your period in opposition the last time when we were there, and so on. Yeah, man. I find some of them things.
You can find that?
Yeah, man. You'll be surprised at what I'm finding these days. PBC boy, I nearly said the Trinidadian one, junior sec. Which secondary school did you go to?
Well, you just named it PBC.
PBC.
Best school in the world. That's right. Boys on the hill, man.
So you, Dr. Mitchell, and the present Prime Minister, and Mr. Berzan. Yeah, I think Mr. Berzan was also a PBC boy. So PBC.
And interestingly, I learned that me and Dr. Mitchell, we share the same sports house. Actually, we're both from Fimber House.
Well, man, there's something going on in PBC when it comes to prime ministers. There's something going on there. Yeah, something definitely going on with PBC when it comes to prime ministers in Grenada.
It is a very special school, man. It's a great school.
Primary school, which one?
Boy, I started really at the Berian Junior Academy, and then I went to a school called St. Rose Junior School. That was a school that was started by, I don't know if you remember Mr. Sandyford from River Road. He was a celebrated teacher in Heinze School.
I do not know him, but I know of him.
That's right. Great teacher, great educator, great educator. And I did common entrance from St. Rose and entered the presentation brother.
How did you become involved in the law? And did you do anything before you got into the law? Did you go on to another path when you left secondary school, or you went straight into the law?
Well, no, man. The law was not immediate. I taught at the GBSS. I was teaching history.
A PBC boy teaching at the GBSS?
Well, yeah. Well, this is nothing new. Do you know that George Brezan, another PBC boy, taught at the GBSS for some time, I think he taught people like Dr. Patrick Antoine and these guys taught economics. George Brezan taught at the GBSS. So, when we have the little friendly competition, we remind the GBSS boys that the PPC boys have given them a lot. So
I consider myself a GBSS boy, even though I didn't go there.
So that is also a very good school. Nothing like the presentation Brothers College, but it's a very good school.
I couldn't get into BBC in Trinidad, so
that's one in San Fernando.
Yes, I couldn't get into that one.
So I taught for a little while there, and then made the decision that I'll pursue the law. But the law was not really my first love here. I actually wanted to be a doctor like my sister. My bigger sister, we're very close, and have been for many years since I'm the last child. And so by the time I was born, she was an adolescent. So you could understand that motherly relationship that we had, and I wanted to follow her. But I was not very, very, very good at the sciences. Barely average, but certainly in the arts and debating and all that sort of thing. And I was having some difficulty deciding what it is that I wanted. And I remember my mother telling me, listen, you don't have to follow anybody. Just follow what you love, follow your talents. And so I gravitated towards the law, especially when, you come down from PBC. And in those days, the main court, High Court number 1, was downstairs York House.
Yes.
The old Parliament building. And I would see a number of the great lawyers of the time, Bernard Radix, Radix, Renald Benjamin, Lloyd Noel, Carl Bristol QC, Mr. Cloud, and others. And that inspired me. I said, all right, I think I could do this. And then I decided, well, I should pursue.
So you were one of the boys passing by, seeing the cases going on. And of course, when there's a case that has some national oomph with it, you're passing by, you want to peep in and see what is going on. And that got you interested in the law. Where did you go to law school?
Well, in Sweet TNT in Trinidad and Tobago, you were in law school. But you know how lawyers are trained in our system, you must first go to university. And so I went to the University of West Indies, Gabriel campus in Barbados, and thereafter Woodin Law School in Trinidad.
So the Hugh Woodin Law School, you go to university first, then they go to the Hugh Woodin and so on. Okay. And coming back to Grenada, you started your own practice, or you started working along with another senior lawyer? How did that take? And what year? That's about what year?
Well, in 2003, when I came back, well, before coming back, I should tell you the story. In the law school, the principal at the time was a retired judge by the name of Justice Ernestine Seeley. And we used to chat a lot, and she was very fond of me. And when we were about to graduate, she said, well, do you know where you're going? Have any idea? I said, well, I'll probably apply in different places and so on, look and see what happens. And she said, he's a close friend of mine, and he's the most brilliant person I've known. We were at Eve Hill together. You should know him, Dr. Francis Alexis.
Yes.
He said you should go there. You'll learn a lot. And so it happened that I started in practice as junior to Dr. Francis Alexis. And that experience has been the single most profound foundational experience in the law that I've had. He, apart from being a uniquely brilliant man, he is very much a gentleman, the old school type, and a very caring man. He has taught me a lot, and he has given me a lot of guidance in the law, for which I'm very, very grateful. Very grateful.
Indeed. I've had several conversations with him, and I could tell you, this man is like a walking, I can't even say encyclopedia again, because he passed that stage.
Brain the size of the universe.
Yeah, because I've seen other countries, some people may not know that, but other countries have called on him from time to time for assistance in relation, especially to constitutional matters. I believe I remember Guyana, and there were one or two other countries that called him in when it came up to constitutional matters and so on. So he's not only dealt with Grenada, He's that. I think is. I don't think we praise people like Dr. Francis Alexis enough. For the wealth of knowledge, for the things that he has done for Grenada over the years. Remember, he was part of the original NNP team as well, if you listen to the history by Dr. Mitchell.
I was about to mention, I hinted at that in paying tribute to Sir Danny Williams in the Parliament last week. We had a joint sitting, because Dr. Alexis belongs also to that generation of special Grenadians that had the courage to really pick up this little country of ours and put it together, restore democracy, to restore, normalcy, decent way of life in the country, and to begin again the journey to national development and a more unified country. And I don't think that people like him and others are paid enough tribute and showed honor for that courage, that very special courage in those very dark days. And, so I respect him enormously for that. Him and others like Dr. Mitchell of that time, who saw the need to leave the lives that they were leading at the time, quite successful lives,
Comfortable. They didn't need to put themselves in think that people calling the name and so, yeah.
And come back just to serve country. So that much of what we enjoy right now, we owe it. We owe it to these men and women of that time.
But the thing is, when you listen to some politicians up to today, I was listening to the present Prime Minister, and he speaks of the period of time that these people sacrificed for their country as though they did something wrong. These are people that have sacrificed Dr. Mitchell since 1984. Dr. Mitchell could have been working with the US government and other governments, various international companies, Fortune 500 companies and so on. He has the capacity, he has the connections, he could have been working for them. But he decided, no, I want to come back in Grenada. My country needs me, and I'm going to be here and doing what I can do to help develop Grenada. And you had, again, you mentioned Dr. Francis Alexis. All of these individuals are people that could have said, listen, I could make my money outside. George Brizan, he could have made his money outside. All of these people could have gone and made their money outside, but they decided, I am going to contribute. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to contribute to my country. And I think that must be respected and must be remembered.
Yeah, man, they answered the call of the time, Sheldon. They answered the call of the time. And I call them a generation of special people, because you're not going to find, and I could challenge anybody, you're not going to find that kind of substance, that kind of gravitas in people to sacrifice themselves and achieve so much in the national interest, selflessly, as this group of noble Grenadians. And, I accept that in politics, you have criticisms and, we criticize one another, and, there will be disagreements, oftentimes bitter disagreements. But I think we should not insult the intelligence of the Grenadians. Talk foolishness. You have to be serious. There is no way any sensible person can say that the sacrifices of these persons, which are great sacrifices, are less than nothing in the grand scheme of things. Because as I said just now, we are enjoying a lot of privileges to express ourselves, a lot of rights. And when you look at the development, the changes that have happened in this country, we owe a lot of that to these people. And so they deserve respect. We can disagree, we can even disagree bitterly, but we must respect these people's contributions, because you can't deny it. History is already written. The facts are there. You can't have your own facts. The facts are there.
Indeed. And folks, we're speaking with Senator the Honorable Dwight Horsford, my good partner, The horse is boss.
For a long time.
The 1990s. So as far back as then. So, I mean, they know about them thing, they. But you're involved now, and you made a statement that at that time that Dr. Mitchell, George Brizan, Francis Alexis, Sir Daniel Williams, at the point in time that these people gave up what they gave up and came into the politics, there was a need for them at that point in time. You never really leave the politics, but you have seriously re-entered the politics at this point in time. Is it because you see that there is a serious need to take up that mantle at this point in time?
Yes, there is. And I think, too, we have to remember, now it's these times now, not just for mere political talk. We have a changed political landscape because we have a generational shift. We have a younger population, and the country is now 50 years old as a nation. But more importantly, our party this year is celebrating 40 years as a political organization, but a special political organization, because it is this party, our party, the New National Party, that was consecrated and formed to restore democracy, equilibrium, and balance to this country. And that is a legacy that is undeniable and a legacy that must be preserved. My interest, primarily, is to see us at this time, at the cusp of the change into a new chapter of our life as a country and our life also as a political organization, that our party survives, consolidates, and continues into the future as a national institution, a beacon for all Grenadians. And the only how that could happen is for persons like myself, yourselves, and other brothers and sisters to come in and participate in the process. Now, coming in to participate in the process is not necessarily about leadership. Leadership is something that can be performed by many people in many different ways. In other words, sometimes, we think we have to be the leader of something in order to make a contribution. Oftentimes, the greatest contributions to the development of organizations such as ours, the New National Party, these contributions are made quite often by very ordinary people who are not frontline people. I mean, there's a role for every single one of us. But what is important is that if we love the country, if we love our party, and if we see NNP as the only political organization that can advance the development of our people in all sectors, as the party was founded to do, these are the objectives for which our party was formed. If we do believe that, then we'll get involved in various ways, vigilant, and to be active and encourage others to help the party bring those benefits to people once more and again.
Now, you've mentioned that the party was formed at a point in time when you needed to re-establish democracy, freedoms, etc. in Grenada. It was the task of the New National Party, no other party, the New National Party, to do that at that point in time. Over the past few nights, I've been saying on this program that our democracy is being threatened right now by certain activities of this administration. From trying to dictate to us how we must spend a particular day. I can't say you were the Attorney General of Anguilla. I can't say that there's any law in Anguilla that says on this particular day you can't beat a drum or you can't play music, etc. I've been looking throughout the Caribbean. I don't know of any day. I know Trinidad, which is Trinidad. You have Eid al-Fitr, which is the Islamic holiday. On that particular day, some people might have their fete or whatever it is. There's no rule that stops that because it's a multiracial, multi-ethnic society and so on. During the Easter time, different people have their activities and things like that. But here in Grenada, we have the Prime Minister dictating to people on that day, this is how you have to behave. You also have a situation now with what is taking place with the teachers. They have been told, basically, you can't go on social media and say anything that could be construed as attacking the government. So if you ain't get paid, don't go on the internet and say it. That is negative. Don't go and say that. If you are having problems with your salary, as some 70-something teachers are having a problem now, and these are 70-something that didn't have that problem before, that are now having a problem with getting their salary. You can't come and say anything about it online. You can't say anything anti-government. In my mind, it seems as though our democracy, our freedom of speech, you had the situation over the past 2 years. The people who are working within the statutory bodies and government ministries have been given NDAs to sign. So
what they call hush your mouth agreement.
And with that, you don't have any Freedom of Information Act. You don't have any whistleblower legislation, but you give people NDAs to sign. How do you perceive the present atmosphere when it comes to freedom of expression within Grenada, considering, for instance, as well, what is taking place with Real FM? You had a minister basically making sure that the people know, hey, we take all the ads from Andre Donald and Real FM. We take it from them. And if he playing it, he only playing it for so. Instead of giving the man an award, you're cussing the man, he playing it. All of that I see as an attack on our democracy. How do you perceive things at this point in time, from where you sit?
Well, it's very, very worrying. Very worrying. And just to mention, you alluded to my time of the islands in Anguilla. And I can tell you categorically, we didn't have any such legislation that allowed for that kind of muzzling. That kind of muzzling is unnecessary, it's disproportionate, it's high-handed. But things fall apart when you're not prepared for government. Things fall apart in this way when you're not humble, when you're arrogant. Authority is not to be wielded in this way. As you mentioned yourself, there are important holidays that we observe, Easter, Remembrance Day. While some gather in Remembrance Day to remember those World War II heroes and World War I heroes who sacrificed their lives, not just time, they sacrificed their lives so that the modern world that we enjoy with the same freedoms of expression and the liberty to pursue happiness, guaranteed by the shedding of blood and giving of their lives. Others go and party at that time. That is the essence of democracy. But what I wanted to say, this kind of threat to expression, free expression, is one of the main reasons why we must be politically active. Democracy is not something that guarantees itself. By that I mean, because Grenada is supposed to be democratic and we have a constitution and all those fancy things, these things don't mean that power is not going to be abused. And that is why political organizations like ours committed to that free expression. Because if you look at the ideals and objectives of the party in our party's constitution, we were formed primarily to ensure that these things are returned to Grenada and these things continue to live for generations and generations to come. And so it is very important at this time, it's critical that activism and political action to ensure freedom of expression, freedom of speech is guaranteed. Now, I look at these developments in amazement, Sheldon, because I recall very, very clearly, not so long ago, in the lead up to the last general election, all kinds of persons were encouraged to express themselves by those who are in office now on social media, which now is as you know, is a toxic space. Huh?
Mm-hmm. Because it's become very toxic.
Yeah, very toxic. If we level criticism of what is going on, the broken promises, the mistakes, the mishaps, the lies, the shady deals, the lack of transparency, people descend into a sort of nastiness now. But the thing about it is that they were encouraging people to do that on social media. Now the same frustrated people, some of them their supporters, many of them their supporters, are expressing themselves quite rightly so, at the nonsense that is going on, and you want to shut them up. NDA, and now there's a circular in the public service that you can't go on social media, and if you talk on social media, action will be taken against you by the PSC. What they really mean is that if you criticize the government, they're coming after you. Well, certainly let them do that, because we are willing to stand with them. Certainly I'm willing to stand with any such person that is victimized in this way. And you're quite right, Chola. This is the time where we must get off of our seat, pay attention to what is going on, and get involved. And then that is why I think this is the right time for persons like yourself and myself to make sure that we raise the banner of freedom and we continue to fly that.
Because it's extremely worrying when you see some of the developments when a person is doing a talk show, and I'm not speaking of myself here, but referring to Miss Jenny Simon, and has drones flying around her home. Of course, you have to identify who the drones belong to, and it's not one or two. But a lady in her home does not even have that level of privacy that you have drones flying around her home. If you think she's contacted someone within the government service, immediately officers from FIU and other departments walk in and seize the computer, tell the person step away, seize the computer for forensic analysis, that sort of thing. It's becoming more and more less Grenada and more North Korea.
Well, this is a dangerous spectacle, because you see there's some people who, perhaps because of narcissism or megalomania, both things are the same thing. Those things are almost a mental disorder, that some people that have power and playing with it like, a child playing with dangerous explosives. And some people that are playing with power who have ideas that they're so great and the others are beneath them. They would tend to behave in this way, high-handed, send people to search your place, muzzle you, suppress your speech. These things manifest themselves first in small ways, and it's incremental. They graduate. They may start with the hush your mouth agreement. Then they go to a circular saying we're going to take action against you if you criticize. So another hush your mouth again. And if we don't like what you're saying, particularly when we are feeling the sting of what you're saying, because it's calling the nation's attention to our nonsense and our ineptitude, our incompetence, our graft and corruption, then we send in police now. Anytime you see they're moving in that direction, that is the time that they must leave. Democracy is not about that. The very fact that you won an election to be in office means that democracy is sacred and it exists here. So getting into office does not mean that's the end of democracy. Democracy is not dependent on what you say. Democracy depends on what all of us say, and we must be allowed to say it. We must be allowed to say it. Democracy is about defending fiercely. A man's right to disagree with you, Sheldon. But if you tell him he cannot disagree with you, then it's some kind of Ugandan style operation from the days of Idi Amin. And you would know about Idi Amin. We can't have that here. But as I say, the good thing is we have hope, and the hope is the new National Party. The party is vibrant. The party is resurgent in a major way, quite impressively. And I think that is one of the reasons why you have this scatterbrained panic in that toxic social media space we were just talking about. The people getting nasty, attacking our leader in a kind of way, attacking other persons, such as myself and others. Some of them, they come in a circuitous way, others come in directly. I mean, I remember not too long ago, a friend of mine alerted me to a post, or a few of them, by a certain elderly gentleman in the north of the island. And I see you smiling, so you might know him.
Yeah, I'm quite aware of the
And
individual.
and you say, well, Horser, you see how the man, I find a man on you, since you're speaking 2 meters a man, and the man descending, he getting nasty and personal. Yeah, you know this man, what a man know about you? Say, I don't know him, and I can guarantee you, he doesn't know me. And in any event, I don't take instructions, political or moral instruction, from a child molester. So when you see the resort to that kind of thing, you know what that indicates to me? It indicates to me, Sheldon, that in this righteous battle for our country, we are winning. Because when they are going down low, we must keep it high and keep going higher. So I'm happy that they are so scatterbrained and nasty on the airwaves, because it's an indication of panic, and it's an indication that they are losing. In fact, they are losing support daily from their own ranks. Daily. I mean, it's amazing that, when you interact with people, how eager that whole sentiment you're getting in the public, how eager people are to see these people just come out of there and just go to it. Because they just can't do it. They just cannot manage. They're not able. They're not competent. They just can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Because I've been paying attention. I know that the Prime Minister appeared on one of the networks this morning. Quite a period of time, very arrogant. You could see frustration in the way that he was responding to certain questions. You recognize that out of 15 parliamentarians, there's about 15 of them, that the vast majority of them have suddenly disappeared from the media space. They ain't doing no live, they ain't coming on. Some of them just disappear. My good friend in the South disappear. They posting on their local Facebook page, but that is it. They disappear from the discussions totally. And you recognize that the Prime Minister, yes, today, tomorrow, he out again. I ain't advertising for him, but he's out tomorrow again. And that panic button, they hit it so hard, I think the button has now been indented into the machine. Because there seems to be this level, they see an NP meeting and they're panicking. They're panicking. Yeah. And I'm quite concerned about their health, because, what's going on with the hospital and thing. I'm concerned about their health, mental and otherwise. Yeah, yes. Concerned.
Particularly their mental health.
Yes, indeed.
Going crazy. But you're right. And that I think is the primary reason why he was on this morning. That is as a result of panicking. So he has to now give an explanation and justify their position, make a case for them. You see, you wouldn't see the rest of them, because if they have nothing to report, you won't see them. They have nothing to report, they have achieved nothing. And even some of the things that I heard him mention this morning there are not serious at all. Not serious. But, as I say, what we have here, Sheldon, is this. A very expensive public relations campaign, PR campaign, was mounted by them in the last general election. And they dominated the social media space. What they did not realize in their exuberance and eagerness for power is that social media and these social media platforms that they overused, and I say overused because it was on steroids. These things were created to market and to sell whatever is trending. And so they trended. Past tense. So on the social media space, there is nothing new and exciting that they can bring to people. Additionally, Sheldon, we must realize too, we must pay attention to this. We must examine this. These social media platforms, they can be an unruly horse and a double-edged sword. I think Donald Trump discovered that the harsh way in the 2020 election, because he overused tweets on social media platforms in 2016 and came back to haunt him. Because when you have that explosion of an unregulated space where people could say what they want, some people hide their identities and vilify them, tear it down. Major character assassination. Today, it appears to be in your favor, but tomorrow it will not be in your favor because all and sundry can go on it. Tell anybody with a cell phone like this is a publisher now. Anybody with a cell phone is a publisher. You can't control it.
Digital content creator is the terminology used.
Whatever the fancy term is, the same thing, you know. So that, I think, is one of the demons that is haunting them at this time. And they really don't know how to deal with it because, as I said, they were not prepared for government. Remember when we had our launch of these series of meetings on the 1st of September in the Trade Center, I deliberately chose my words. I said they were arrogant and unprepared because government is not about trips on a plane, flashing lights and galas. There's real serious business, and that is that you must engage with your people and you must look after the nation's business. That to bring benefits to people. It's hard work. It's not about posing in a partner. You have to do things. So when you come in and you have fancy PR and your public relations don't match what is happening on the ground, don't you think our people can see that? And I think what has happened, Sheldon, they have insulted Grenadians' intelligence repeatedly by these mediums for too long. And people are just not having it anymore. People see through that and they're fed up. They're just anxious now for these guys to leave.
I usually refer to it as arrogance and ignorance. I often use that term. That might even be the theme for tomorrow night program. Arrogance and ignorance. Because you don't know, but you're so forward, as old people would say, so forward with yourself. You've seen it from various MPs trying to extemporaneously speak on particular issues of a historical nature and making a fool of themselves, whether it be CRIF, whether it be the revolution, whether it be something that happened 10, 15 years ago, a tropical cyclone, whatever it is. And they try to speak on these things, ignorant of what really happened. But the arrogant is like, okay, I'm a minute, and I understand it from an aspect, because sometimes when you gain the handle senator or the honorable or minister, there's a part psychologically there that if you are not a person that has grown up the way you have grown up, the way I have grown up and others have grown up, where you are taught to be measured, where you're taught to check yourself, like how the Romans used to have a man walking behind Caesar every now and touch him and say, remember, you are just a man. You have to have that little man in your head telling you every now and again, remember, you are just a man, so you humble yourself. And these individuals, they don't humble themselves. They just believe because I am minister or I win the seat and I beat you and all you can take, all your licks. So even though you're telling them something for the national good, for national development, that is going to benefit them politically in the long run, but is also going to benefit the country, but you don't care because you love your country, these individuals refuse to take your advice. And they go totally opposite to what you're saying. Like if you want them to do something, tell them the opposite.
Yeah. Well, you see, Sheldon, they were never really ready for this. Never prepared for this. And they're not willing to learn, not willing to take advice, even from some of their own people and significant supporters who have been in past NDC administrations. They're not taking any advice. It's a crazy arrogance. It's almost manic. And listen, what we are seeing now should be a wake-up call for all of us in Grenada. That business of governance is a serious business, and it's business of governments for people who are grounded. You just mentioned that. You have to be grounded and prepared for this. Eisenhower, who was the president before Kennedy, in speaking about leadership models and what it really takes in leadership. And remember, he's running, or was running at the time, a global superpower with nuclear weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And he spoke about temperance, wisdom, patience, listening, consulting, learning from those who know. If you have never had any experience at all in government, either at the helm of government, cabinet level, or around those who are at the cabinet level advising them, the first thing you must do is to seek out those who have that experience to advise you. Winning an election does not automatically and magically confer on you in your head experience. There's no substitute for experience in a party. There's none. In my profession, you asked me earlier about my beginnings in the profession. And I mentioned with this great lawyer that I started out with. In our profession, it's an ancient profession, but it's one of very old traditions. And a traditional centerpiece, an aspect of that profession that has caused it to live on successfully for almost 2,000 years, since about 1165, is that of apprenticeship. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
A junior or inexperienced one sits at the feet of a senior or more experienced lawyer. And over time and listening and following and watching what the senior one does, you acquire skills. Of course, some of your natural talents will come to the fore and would be expressed in how you practice. But that of getting the advice and leadership of senior people, there's no substitute for that. As I said to, I think it was Andrea, one of the other programs when I was on, Sheldon, sometimes before you are charged with the great responsibilities of leadership, because leadership is, as I mentioned, it's not about posts, their responsibilities are burden, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Before you're charged with that, sometimes you have to be willing to follow before you could lead. Because by following, you learn. Joshua followed Moses. And that's how it goes. This is the natural order of things. When you ignore all of that and you arrogantly think that I know everything and I am this great being, I'm almost godlike, you fall into this very quickly and you'll get no sympathy from me, and you'll get no sympathy from many people outside there, because it did not have to happen, you know. It did not have to happen. Grenada is special in this Caribbean, particularly in the Eastern Caribbean. Not only were we the first of the OECS to become independent, but our experiences from independence to now put us as an outstanding nation. I'm not so sure if now we are commanding that respect and the gaze of our brothers and sisters as a serious nation, given the kind of leadership that we have produced, given the kind of strides that we have made. I mean, even in times when, you know, there was turbulence and tumultuous events happening in Grenada, we produced great beacons. We had a great experiment in the revolution. Bad as it was in its collapse, a lot of great things came out of it that still live on as a legacy. International airport, NIS, etc. So nowhere else you have a group of people with a national identity as Grenada to achieve all these things as an infant nation, as a young nation. And to see now that, you know, we have basically novices at the wheel who, like the emperor's new clothes, believe to themselves that they are experts.
But
I mean, it's a spectacular failure.
Let me ask you a question that has been playing around in my mind, and several folks have said it as well. One of the failings of the revolution was that you had a group of basically young people. In fact, the individual who was in charge of the day-to-day running of the army was 25 years old. 25 at the point in time of the implosion of the revolution, which means he had to be about 23, 24 when he got involved. So you had these young guys who were in their 20s and their 30s and so on. And due to the fact it was their first real taste of power, that they overreached in order to try and protect that power which they had gained.
Yes.
Do you see a replication slowly creeping in with this group of individuals of the same type of individual? Because if you speak to any member of the hierarchy of the revolution that's around still, they generally tell you that one of the things that affected them, they were young people, and they admit that they made mistakes. I don't think I've spoken to any of them that have not admitted that they've made mistakes. They admit they made mistakes. And they put down quite a bit of it to youthful exuberance. The fact that you were young, you didn't really experience life as such, and you got this opportunity. And then now that you got the opportunity, you wanted to protect that opportunity. So it might have been a relative, an uncle or something, and they say something against the revolution, and up Richmond Hill, you said something that they did not agree with, or they thought that was a challenge to what they were trying to build. Instead of trying to convince you to come over to their point of view, no, lock them up. Fort, police station, Richmond Hill. We take the mother, the child, everybody, the whole house going. Is it that we see that starting, that sort of mindset creeping in with this group of individuals, something that we should be mindful of? I know you're a student of history. It's why I ask you.
Well, certainly there are some reflections of it, mild reflections of it. Of course, these are two different times in history, two very different circumstances. And I would agree that youth and youthful exuberance may have been, well, certainly was an ingredient in the demise, but not so much being youthful. I don't think being youthful really is a disadvantage, because all great social change, particularly great political change, are always in the records of history. Historical experience has shown that, are always affected by the youth, a young generation. We've seen that. Time in the American War of Revolution, young people again. I mean, you had a young President Kennedy. That's how these things happen. I think what was pretty clear is that there wasn't sober leadership. And in our present circumstances, you have basically a prime minister who has had to govern with a bunch of people he had no real substantive anterior relationship with. People, some of them, they really don't know that, and they don't know him. Additionally, you have a prime minister who, in terms of life experiences, sociological experiences, is ill-equipped for the position he finds himself in, because he has not participated in organizations or in experiences that will mold character for leadership and handle the burden of command. And I think that is a principal problem with the ensemble, the bunch of people that we have here now. So I don't really expect, I'm not goat-mouthing them, but I mean, there seems to be a consistent pattern of behavior of unreadiness, and I don't expect any turnaround or any miracles to come from the bunch. I mean, as I remember when I was told that there was what was the nickname? Something about a Jesus, a baby.
Baby Jesus, yeah. I don't think people had ever heard me repeat it on this program, you know.
Yeah,
but baby Jesus, yeah.
Yeah. Well, clearly there's a Jesus without miracles, and the Jesus that we know, he did miracles. I think it's unfortunate, but you see, that was the public relations image that was manufactured for a particular purpose. But the thing with these bubbles is that they'll bust, and they'll bust quick. And it certainly bust in this case. Realize that there are no Jesus there.
Mm-hmm. Because I recognize, you look at the pictures of Maurice Bishop, you realize they try to recreate the pictures of Maurice Bishop. The mode of dress is you're trying to dress similar to how Maurice dressed, the same type of top, the same kind of thing. They're trying to recreate themselves into Maurice Bishop and at the same time trying to be Gary. Trying to wear the colors and the thing. So you're trying to be Gary, you're trying to be Maurice Bishop, but you're not developing yourself as in who is Deacon.
That's the point. There's no political identity because, number one, there's no political philosophy that is unique to him that he holds dear in any particular way. And clearly there is an infatuation with the image or the romantic persona of Maurice Bishop, late of blessed memory. The thing is, what makes it so unfortunate is that one must be authentic. Particularly in politics, you must be yourself, you must be genuine. I am Dwight, people call me Horse, they call you Scotty, we know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that is part of the unraveling right now. People don't know who this person is. They don't really know. They're confused. But you see, one must never, ever try to be another person. There's not going to be another Maurice Bishop. And there's not going to be another Gary. I can't replicate it. And there's not going to be another Keith Mitchell. That it doesn't happen that way in history. Even if you use these three personalities I just mentioned, in pockets of time that they were actors on the stage, the public stage in Grenada, all three are great political figures and personalities. But none of them are a replica of the other.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, all three of them are different. Everyone's different. We may be friends, we may have similarities and have some tastes and so on. We may sound alike when we speak. Scotty and Horse. But Scotty, Horse is Horse.
Mm-hmm.
From a distance, when you watch, you say, there is Scotty, there is no Horse. You look at that horseman, there's no Scotty. People must be able to identify the essence of the man or woman that's leading them. Who are you? What do you stand for? And all of this is just PR stunts and a stage show. So it's not real, and so people can't feel it. And so it's a great disappointment in the national psyche, and will continue to be so.
Now, Senator Horsford, before we run out of time, because we're talking and I just realized that it's already 9:20. Time is running, and I don't want to lose the opportunity. I know a lot of folks are really enjoying the conversation, but I don't want to lose the opportunity as I have you on to speak about the electoral system and where we are right now with the electoral system. We are identifying various things on the voters list. I know yesterday, and again, for those of you that may not have known last night, the new voters list, the addendum for the months of July to September. And Senator, I was really looking to see if anybody was coming on under Carriacou Petit Martinique. I was really looking to see if any name was coming on under Carriacou and Petit Martinique on that addendum. So we have to take a look at that. What are some of the challenges that the new National Party is facing now with the electoral system as it is? The Electoral Office have said that the system that is in place now is now, how did they call it? It's not just outdated. It cannot be updated. It's outdated, cannot be updated. The company that did that is no longer even in existence. I think Grenada's electoral list and so on, the system, is being managed by one or two people that used to work with the company, which is a dangerous thing. So what is the latest? What have you heard from the Electoral Office? Where are we at right now when it comes to the system? What is the party doing? What should all of the listeners who are listening right now also be doing?
Well, just as you said, number one, what meaning the Parliamentary Elections Office, they have made it clear that there are some maintenance issues on the system because it has outlived its time, and as you quite rightly said, the company that created the system no longer exists. And so they feel that there is a need for a new system, voter registration and data analysis system. But as to what we're picking up some anomalies, some strange things. We're picking up names that are not identifiable as conventional Grenadian type names. There are some Eastern European names that are popping up here in very large numbers. Chinese names, and also where the names themselves are of a familiar kind in terms of family names. We're picking up that there are names of persons who have registered in Grenada at certain times recently, namely when there was the 50th anniversary celebrations of the independence, carnival, etc., that reflect people who are not living in Grenada. And the election law, the representation of people, one of the core requirements is that there must be residency in the particular constituency. And even before that, when you go to register, you must have been living in your constituency and your polling division for which you're registering at least 12 months. That's a year.
So that's the law. That is as the electoral law is right now. Yeah.
So in short, let me shorten it. A lot of registrations have been taking place contrary to the law, inconsistent with the law. No verifications of these the residency requirements and so on. Recently, the supervisor, this new supervisor, has indicated that he is monitoring that and he's enforcing residential checks of people who present themselves for registration. But it is important for us as a political party to canvass the voters list thoroughly. We know the people in our district, we know the people in our neighborhoods, and we must ensure that we verify the names on the list and to make sure that we know them. What we have been doing internally is that we've been having a series of meetings. I've been involved in that. Party has charged me with that, to meet with our canvassers in relation to taking action, appropriate action on the law regarding some of these additions to the voters list that really ought not to have been put onto the list for various reasons, principally because a number of these names, the host of them, the majority of them, are not resident here. Now, I wouldn't elaborate strategically what it is that we are called to do, but that is one of the things that is engaging our main focus. But more so, since we are picking up these things, it's not just canvassing the list. What we need to do is to encourage the registration of our people. There are many NNPites who have children and grandchildren in their houses, and they're not having a conversation with them. They're not making them politically conscious as to the need to register. We must go on a registration drive with equal fervency and equal force that we are putting into canvassing the list and being vigilant for the voter padding. We need also to encourage people to register, particularly the younger generation. And I don't think that will be much of a problem now, given that from where I sit and from my interactions with people, I think the public is alive to the need for political action right now and to be vigilant, so that when an election is called, people who are living in Grenada, who have to live under whatever government that is selected by the majority of our brothers and sisters, are the ones who are voting in that election.
So we've seen that situation. What is the electoral office saying at this time? Are they going to be bringing in a new system? Are they going to try and hop along or drag along with the system that exists? If so, if they're coming with a new system, are we also going to have the problem where we will have to have a re-registration? Or is that not an issue at this time? Are we going to have a new... You have a new system, so you're going to do a new re-registration? Or is it a situation where who is on the list is on the list, we're just going to add new people, but it's a new system that we're using to add people, and the data fields that you don't have in the existing system? Because there are data fields that don't exist. If you get a voters list, you don't see age and different things that don't exist in the present system. With the new registrants, you may be able to pick up that information. How do you get that information for those that are already on the list? So these various aspects of it, what is the Electoral Office saying?
Well, their proposal, they are thinking of a new system, brand new system. Now, of course, that the decision to introduce a new system, the final say on that is really with the policymakers, those that are in government. They'll have to agree to carry that forward. But that is the recommendation from the parliament. As to my view on it, you can't have two systems running in parallel. So you can't have the old system, the one that have all this problem, and introduce a new system and try to work the two of them together at the same time. If you're introducing a new system, there must be re-registration. Wipe the slate clean. And this is nothing new. When we're introducing the system that we have there now, 2011, I believe, or somewhere thereabout, the voters list had to be cleansed. And you had re-registration.
That was about
in many countries
2010, yeah.
Many countries that have introduced continuous registration for the first time, when they were doing it for the first time, that is what they did. They required a clean slate. I'm not sure if those policymakers might agree with that, but certainly that sheldon is the fairest clean cut across the board process that I think would be legitimate. But in relation to action in the context of the system that exists, the law allows for scrutiny of the voters list and for remedial action to be taken on the law. And once those procedures are activated, there are certain things that there are obligations that the law places on registration officers and the supervisor of elections in relation to sanitizing, as I say, the voters list. And so certainly we'll be doing our work in that regard until there is settlement on whether there is a new system, there's going to be a new system or not. Certainly in the present context, we are examining the voters list and we are activating the procedures to make sure that process is one that is fair.
Mm-hmm. And one individual is asking a question, and it has been an area of concern within my mind over the past couple months. That is the situation in Carriacou, which is why I was so interested in seeing if anybody was registered on that list for Carriacou, because they'd have to answer how they get on the list. Seeing that down to the registration office, from what I know, was damaged. You have a situation in Carriacou now where a few of the polling stations no longer exist. Not that they're damaged, they don't exist. They're gone, they disappeared, they're not there. Wipe out. Which means that you have to have new polling stations. Many people have lost their identification documents and so on. They lose passport, driver's license, voter register. They lose all these things. These things are gone. So is there a special concern of the possibilities of what can take place in Carriacou at this point in time, or what needs to be done in Carriacou at this time when it comes to the electoral process?
Right now, Carriacou is not just a human catastrophe following the wake of a hurricane. It's also a nightmare in relation to that electoral process, principally because of the damage. But in relation to Carriacou, we'll have to examine the situation closely, and we're closely following that. Of course, I certainly would be taking an interest in what is taking place in relation to voters' registration in Carriacou. But as to what the parliamentary elections offices, I can't say right now in relation to Carriacou. I can't say right now. But certainly, with keen interest, I'd like to see what is taking place there.
Indeed. No, you mentioned as well the importance of, and I don't want folks to miss that point, which is why I'm going back to it. You mentioned the importance of NNPites encouraging and speaking to their children to get them registered, because I am sure right now that this message is going into some homes of some NNP supporters where there are young people of voting age that are not registered and have not made the move to register, and they may have been eligible since last year or even year before, and they have not been registered to vote. Like they're waiting till last minute to go and stand up in a long line and hope that they get through.
Don't do that.
Yeah, it's
Don't do
dangerous.
That. Don't do that. Don't do that. We have a system of continuous registration. It means that so long as there is no writ for an election, meaning that the election has not been called and the formal process for nominations and all these things has not started. Once that is not the case, that is, no election has been called, you can register at any time during the course of the year. Take advantage of that. This last minute thing to run a line up, and when you really see, well, okay, there's going to be an election and you know in truth I want to change the government or I want this to happen, then you're going to line up. Point is to do so now, so that whenever that time comes, you are battle ready with this. With your finger, you're ready. And you know where polling stations are, and you're just ready to go and go. So, to our sisters and brothers, activate and encourage your children. Motivate them. Get them off the couch and get them off the bed, playing with computer and playing with their phones. Talk to them. Because we are experiencing what it is like to live under these conditions now. The country hardened. And the country is hard not so much because there's inflation everywhere, but there's less of an inflationary effect in some of our neighboring countries than we experience in Grenada. Why? Leadership. People who know what they're doing. People who are actually doing real work and not giving you PR images. So, governance is the issue. Leadership is the issue in the country. And we can't see how we can go forward unless we deal with it. And who has the power to deal with it? The people. Collectively, the people. And when do they exercise that power? When is it the only time you get to do that? When there's an election. When there's an election. And so we have to be prepared for whenever that time comes. We have to be prepared. Principal weapon, that finger. You have to be prepared.
And one of the problems I think that we are seeing now is that the voters who are eligible to vote now, they know nothing about Ivan, you know. They wasn't alive. So they know nothing about Ivan. The people who voted in the 2018 election, those were people that, the millennials, the people that were born in the year 2000, that somewhere in their subconscious they might remember what a phone booth looked like.
Yeah.
They might remember what a phone booth looked like or a home phone looked like. But after Ivan, we saw that change into the digital and so on in a more significant way. The young people who were born in the 2005 and 2006 and 2007 coming up, who are now going to be eligible to vote by the next election, these young people, you can't talk to them about what take place before. They know nothing about that. They don't know about stadium being built and Grenada being repaired after Hurricane Ivan. They don't know about the reclaiming of the land in town or the old colonial hospital that the New National Party took us out from and put us in the hospital that is there now. They don't know anything about that. That is, yeah, they hear about it, but they don't know. They don't know about taking a bus in the market. I know you know that. You have to come and take a bus in the market.
That's right, Market Square.
Yeah,
that's right.
They know about that.
Grew up on that.
Yeah, they know about that.
But still, we must not fail to remind them, and we must not fail to tell them about it. But I agree that we will have to articulate pathways to progress, pathways to the future. We'll have to do that. Party will have to do that, and certainly we we're getting prepared to do that. I mean, we're running up on our 40th anniversary celebration, which would be a big thing. And we'll turn the page and we will come together, certainly with a plan. We have always been the party with the plan. We've always been party with the plan. I mean, we had a man with a plan and a party with a program. So this coming up with a vision for Grenada is not a difficulty for the international. Yes, we are focused on the 40th anniversary celebrations and we're drumming up our support and we're encouraging people to get involved in the process and register and we're vigilant about the voters list, etc. and so on. But articulating a vision forward is not a problem. I know they're starting to make noises on the airwaves about, all they say, all they're going to do, and so on, and all they say. This is really to change the discussion and keep us or derail us. Because by hammering home the failures of this administration, particularly specific promises made and specific pie in the sky fairy tale things they tell the people and fool people into believing. When they're called out on it, they don't want you to continue to do that. Because it's not just you're reminding people. The more you discuss that and the more you highlight it, more people will see it. Not so, Sheldon?
Of course.
But vision for Grenada is not going to be difficult, and it is not difficult. But there are things that we need to do now. There are groundwork that we need to do now, and we are doing. Particularly what you just talked about, the voters list, etc. All of these things are necessary because the whole politics is a process. And we had an election 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, and this is part of the party growing naturally to deal with the issues of the day. So I don't have any doubt that soon enough that would be in place.
Now, one of the things that I think people need to understand, we've had individuals who have been out there telling some Grenadians who have been outside of Grenada 5, 10, 15 years, 20. These people have not been in Grenada, and I'm not speaking about that it does come every year or something. They have not been here. And these are the people that are coming and we're seeing their names popping up on the voters list. Give us a clear indication of who should be registered. You mentioned the 12 months. What about an individual who comes every year? Do they qualify?
No, because you have to be ordinarily resident in Grenada. Ordinarily resident means that you are living, eating, sleeping at a particular place with some permanency more often than not. So visiting Grenada or just having a house in Marion but living and working in New York would not qualify as residents in Grenada for the purposes of the elections law. Certainly not. Such a person would not qualify under the law.
What if a person was already registered and in the re-registration process they come back to Grenada and they re-register? So they were already on the voting scroll, but they have left Grenada. They go and they come every year. They come every 2 years. They come. I know some people that come every 3 or 4 months or so. They come back. Does that disqualify that person as well?
Well, first of all, if you're registered already, there's no need to re-register. So you will already be on the voters list, the register of voters. Mm-hmm. In a case of somebody who has registered already and left Grenada and is living abroad, the law provides that once your name is on the list, unless it has been taken off by the supervisor through the process of some sort of challenge, through the sanitization we just spoke about, unless your name has been taken off, entitled to vote. But such a person who left Grenada for a very long time and is living elsewhere, but who is already registered, they are in jeopardy. They are liable to be removed if challenged because they are not resident in Grenada. They're resident somewhere else.
Because I'm looking at the list, you're seeing people who are down as military officer. I'm trying to wonder where we have military officers living in Grenada right now, because we don't have a military, and various other employment statuses that I think are very suspect, which say to me that these individuals, more likely than not, are not ordinarily resident here in Grenada. also you're noticing when you check the list, in particular the south of the island, that there are many people who are transient. They really from St. Patrick, or they registered in St. Patrick. They stay down here in the south of the island during the weekend. They go up on the weekend. And so, how do you treat with individuals like that, who may decide, well, yeah, I just get my mail and everything, and I just go up every weekend, but I'm working in the hotel, so I renting a little place down in Grenada, so I change in from there to Grenada.
The law recognizes that and makes an exception.
Mm-hmm. So that person could transfer and say, well, I'm voting in Grenada instead.
The law makes an exception.
All right, good. I just wanted to get that clarified. Now, to the listeners who are there right now and they're listening to this conversation, what do you say to them directly they should be doing right now, especially with not only the addendum, but with the other lists that have come out? We have various addendums that have come out since the general election. What should the average NNP supporter be doing right now?
Comb in that list. Comb the list. Make sure that your name is there. Make sure the name of your family and friends and our supporters that you know are still there, those that you know to have been registered. Make sure you recognize them. And in relation to the new people who are on the list, make sure you can verify who they are and where they live in and how long they've been living there, so that you don't have people padded onto the list. Because that's the objective. A while ago you mentioned about people being told to just come in and register and so on. That is by deliberate design. They're deliberately doing that. And I think they're deliberately doing that, knowing very well and full well that that is not in the law. But they've been doing that because their support is fast diminishing, and in fact, I think it is vanishing. And so they thought, well, if we can get some diaspora people, and we put up the list with some diaspora people and some CBI people who get passport to the program, then they can come in and vote and save us, and we can continue to sit inside here and transform our pockets. But we are on to this, and that is not going to happen. We are not going to let that happen at all.
Yes, Senator, I just realized my machine is shutting down on me, so I was just trying to plug it back in. But now that is the situation that we face right now when it comes to the voters list. And I wanted to have a discussion with you in relation to another aspect, but I just want you to give me one moment while I shift slightly, because the computer will cut off. So I need to just fix one thing. Can you give me one moment, please?
Sure, man. Sure.
40 years we going strong and getting stronger. It's a celebration. It's a celebration. We love it. The future looking real bright, and we moving on just right. Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary, NNP. Anniversary. Happy anniversary, NNP. 40 years of resilience. And visionary leadership. Now carrying hope for a brighter future. The new National Party. It's a celebration. It's a celebration. We love it.
All right. So I think I've solved that problem. Somehow my my laptop got unplugged. So I think we've solved that problem right now. Yes,
all right.
Senator. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about, after the 2013 general election, you, along with the then Attorney General, were one of the people that pushed a serious legislative agenda at that point in time. I would know I was in Parliament at the point in time, but there was a serious legislative agenda that was pushed at that point in time. I remember you had the Integrity in Public Life Act. You had the Anti-Corruption Act. You had the just quite a significant load of legislation that came in at that point in time. And when you look, you compare and contrast now to this administration, there seems to be no legislative agenda.
None at all. No serious agenda. And that's one of the first things I recognized shortly after appointment to the Senate. That is a symptom, Sheldon. It must be a symptom of a lack of any plan or vision to govern. So it goes back to what I mentioned earlier when we started. Unprepared to govern. Because this is how it works. Policy. When you have policies and programs that need to be implemented, policy becomes law. That is why an active government that knows what they're doing, that has an agenda, that has a plan, will have a legislative agenda that is robust, and you'll see them busy in the parliament during the course of the year passing laws so that they can implement their programs. Whether it is tax relief, reforms in the school system, reforms in healthcare, you have to be passing laws, because our system of government, if you notice, in order to become minister or even prime minister, you must be a member of the parliament. So first and foremost, you are legislators, not so?
Yes.
You are lawmakers. And no serious laws are being made. No laws are being made. There's no legislative agenda. And that's quite, that's a good spot by you in raising that. I've noticed that myself. So it must be a symptomatic of a lack of any kind of agenda or vision. Clearly, they're not prepared to govern.
Because I remember you had yourself, then Attorney General Cadgington Hood, and there was a heavy legislative agenda after that 2013 general election. Again, I go back to the integrity in public life because that was one of the first ones. The New National Party had spoken about that in opposition, and it was one of the first ones that came into being. This government doesn't even seem to be checking it really, but it was one of the first ones that came into being together with the Anti-Corruption Act and so on. And I keep looking and I hear they have Parliament sitting and you wonder, okay, what's coming in Parliament? And you realize some very mundane sort of stuff that doesn't really give direction to a policy of the government or give direction to an objective that you want to achieve significantly for the country. There may be a slight political objective or another shut-up thing, like you do a bill and you say, well, okay, that's in relation to data protection and all these sort of things, when you have your ulterior motives behind.
Yeah.
But no serious, significant, policy-driven legislation. Because I know you yourself and Kaji work hard. Only work hard. Late in the night, you in office putting together things.
Back then, there was a serious agenda because they had a government that knew what they were doing. Additionally, too, when NNP took office in 2013, there was a lot of heavy lifting. I mean, the state of government finances were in shambles. And there was a need to restructure the economy. And so the government was very active, very busy, putting policies and programs into effect. So the legislative agenda was heavy indeed. Quite right.
Because you also mentioned what is taking place in the social media space. And one of the bills that came at that point in time was the cybercrime bill. I remember there was a lot of hue and haw and you can't do this and you can't do that. And some of the things that were therein contained, which is what they wanted removed, are some of the very same things that people are calling for right now, because the mischief that the bill was trying to correct is what is running amok right now. But folks at that point in time thought that, hey, this is infringing on my freedom, it's infringing on my right, it's criminalizing certain behaviors and so on. So you need to pull that from the bill. The government at the time, even though it had 15 seats, you could have decided, now we're going with it and we just go in with it. But the government at the time relented and decided that, yeah, we're going to pull those sections out. So I want to congratulate you as part of that I call it more a duo. I know they have the legal drafting team and so, but did that significant legislative agenda that gave a direction to where the New National Party was going. The CBI, Citizenship by Investment, that bill that came in relation to that, and the significant work that went on it. You had little amendments now and again as you tweak it, but all of that legislative agenda that went forward at that point in time. And I think you need to be recognized as the key person there, together with the AG at the time, that pushed that legislative agenda, which we don't see. I don't even know if we have an Attorney General at this point in time. And it seemed like the legal drafting unit, I don't know if they've gone into drafting plan for house instead of drafting laws, but I know they have very competent people inside there. Very, very brilliant, competent people, but we don't see the
fantastic people.
Brilliant people inside there. But it's just
I think they have one or two new people there now. Fantastic people, hardworking people.
So I'm very interested in seeing from here how the quote unquote, because there isn't one, but the quote unquote legislative agenda of this administration and goes from here. Brother Horsford, we into our last 8 minutes, believe it or not. I don't know if there's any specific issue you want to raise at this point in time as we get close to the end of tonight's program.
No, I think we covered a broad spectrum of things, in this short conversation we've had. I mean, and there's so many more things that we could talk about. I don't think an hour and a half is enough to talk about what is happening in this country. So many things have gone wrong in this country. So many things are happening that we need fixing, and I fear too that some of the things that are going wrong in the country take an enormous effort to put right. And it will take some time. It's going to be hard work putting the country back together again. But I want to thank you for having me.
But before you close off, though, there's a question that just came to mind.
Right.
You're an individual who are at the courts on a daily basis, and we're talking about the tennis court, the basketball court. We're talking about His Majesty's courts. You're there on a daily basis. What have you been recognizing being at the courts on a daily basis? Are you seeing a significant number of young people coming in there? What have you been recognizing?
Well, since I come back, I'm not heavy into criminal practice, but certainly as a global trend, I've recognized a surge in young offenders. That is cause for concern, and that is not just a phenomenon here. It's something regionally. We have a generation of persons that have been left back. This new generation, we have a lot of people coming out of school, but that's part of the problem. There's no jobs, and that is something we need to focus on with great effort and in a collective way, because we have a cost of living crisis, which is also married with joblessness in the country. There's no job creation. New jobs are not being created, even in the context of our political discussion that we've just been having. Now, the New National Party had several projects initiated and underway. Some of them have stalled under these fellows, and those that they have managed to not kickstart, but slowly grind back into some sort of activity. There isn't that spin-off or widespread economic effect of it. Not to mention, there has been no new projects. And we are accustomed to a sort of bustling construction activity in the country that creates spin-off effects of other job creation. Because when people have more disposable income, they spend more. When they spend more, some retail outlet is selling more and they have to hire people in order to manage the flow of business. Some other person may get a bright idea that they will provide an associated service with a business that is growing. And so there's the creation of another business and more employment. That's how economies work. You can't ignite expenditure with what is going on right now. The economy has basically stalled. There's no money in circulation. And I've heard the government boasting about 1.2 billion plus in citizen by investment project sales and income. Where's that money? That money is not in circulation. So why boast about that? What is that boast meaning to anybody? That means nothing to the ordinary 21 or 22-year-old on the block who just came from National College with a number of subjects in the talk. They mean anything to them. Because there's no work.
Indeed. Folks, we'd like to thank you, Senator. We'll allow you to make your closing statement.
No, I was just thanking you for the opportunity, and I promise I will be back. I'm always available I mean, it's a busy time because we have a lot of activities as we're moving down to the 40th. But as good NNP soldiers, we're always ready, and we always answer the call.
And indeed, I'm beginning to think now that at least once a month we have to talk some legal issues on here. Either legislation that is before the people and so on, giving a little insight into it, or looking at previously existing legislation or so, and how they are being breached. Because we have quite a few that are being breached, The integrity in public life, accepting gifts, part of it. I hear the Prime Minister.
That is just on the books. They are not interested in that.
Yeah, because you can't accept gifts and not report it. I wonder if the 1,000 cricket bats and so the PM talk about them kits, if they've been reported to the integrity, is a gift. So it has to be reported. It's not the price of a pencil. You're talking significant amounts of money, yeah. So from a person who wants to do business in the country. So there's quite a lot for us to discuss.
That, by the way, when I heard that, that too is a joke, because that has nothing to do with any national developmental agenda. You're basically saying that somebody's giving you a gift to promote your constituency political activity. That has nothing to do with national development. When you just said that the premise for traveling abroad is to represent the state and bring benefits to the state on the government level, this seems clearly not to be that. But there'll be more debate and discussion on these things, because I expect more nonsense to come.
Of course. Senator Horsford, we'd like to thank you so very much. I know that you're going to meet some books again right now. I know you're back into the documents as soon as you're done with us. And we're sorry for keeping you away from the documents for so long. But we know, as a good NNP soldier, we know that you're always willing and ready. Yes,
happy
indeed.
To be here.
Good
night to you and all your listeners.
All right. Thank you so very much, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, folks. So we have been speaking there with Senator the Honorable Dwight Horsford. And let me just fix the thing there. Nice, right? Yeah, we have been speaking there with Senator the Honorable Dwight Horsford. Yeah, and quite a lot of folks been sending messages saying quite an informative discussion. Yes, indeed. And sometimes you need to have these discussions. And when you talk to the horse, as I just tell him, horse is boss. Yeah, we need to have those sort of discussions from time to time and engage with the minds of individuals who understand things in context and are able to give clarity to issues and so on. So we look forward to having Senator Horsford on very soon again. And we have some other people that have to come on soon. Everybody have to come. We have some other people that have to come on very, very soon. So, folks, we're going to take a wrap at this point in time. Yeah, because I've got to run. That's all the time we have for Talking Points tonight. Yes, we will be on tomorrow night. And don't think one miss them in past them, because we have quite a lot that we have to discuss tomorrow night. Quite a lot that we have to discuss tomorrow night. So we on time. All right. So, folks, that's all the time we have tonight. It's been wonderful being here with you. Whatever you say and do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you, and definitely not about you. My name is Sheldon Scott. I'm out of here. Love each and every one of you. And once again, thank you so very much to Senator the Honorable Dwight Horsford, and to all of you who have joined tonight. I've been getting the messages and so on. We want to thank each and every one of you. I am out. And Cammy, I hope you're sleeping now, Nice, right?
Are you ready? Let's go!
Grenada. Get ready as the new National Party invites all to its 40th anniversary fundraising bingo event. Sunday, October 27th from 5 p.m. at Victoria Park, Grenville. Over $100,000 in cash and prizes to be won. Imagine you can win a Suzuki Ignis hybrid car, $50,000 in cash, plus other fantastic prizes. Tickets are $60 for one or $100 for two. Free buses will be available island-wide. Don't miss it, or you might just see your neighbor driving a Suzuki Ignis. Sunday, October 27th, we're heading to Victoria Park in Grenville for the new National Party 40th Anniversary Fundraising Bingo.
The new National Party New York chapter presents to Grenadians living in this part of the diaspora the biggest town hall meeting ever in New York. You are invited to attend as the headliners in Grenadian politics brings you the message from Grenada. From St. Andrew Northeast, come and hear youthful and vibrant Kate Lewis.
This new national party offers insurance and security of continuity.
St. Andrew Southeast will send you a message through Sister Emlyn Pear.
Brothers and sisters, nothing will stop this party.
Peter David will speak to you with the voice of the town of St. George.
Because if you do not have a vision, you will perish.
The people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique will lay out their struggles through the voice of the powerful Noland Cox.
Brothers and sisters, we are very grateful for the support of the National Party.
Dwight Horsford will address and answer all the legal issues.
In these times, we are seeing a lot of strange things.
Political leader of the new National Party, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, will address you as the party gears up for its 40th anniversary celebration.
And look at the numbers of you here. Look at you here, sisters and brothers. You know why you are here? Because you believe in the new National Party and you believe in the development of this beautiful country of ours.
So, Grenadians, gather on Sunday, the 27th of October at the Nazareth Regional High School, 475 E 57th Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11203, between Clarendon Road and Ditmas Avenue. The meeting starts at 5 p.m. See you as we gather to rescue Grenada 2.0.